The Real Deal. Welcome once again, ladies and gentlemen, to The Real Deal, the show here on the GetVOKL.com platform with Rob, with Henok, and we have a very special guest today, Deacon David, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, this is GetVOKL.com. You're going to see a timer right here. Just as this country is fair and balanced, so is this great platform of GetVOKL.com, and that's why we believe in equal time. So that's just keeping us honest with the time. Please don't forget, by the way, that at the end of the 15 minutes, you can join this video broadcast by clicking on the link below on the joinvocal.com. Gentlemen, happy Father's Day. How are we? And can we get a little bit of introductions? And how was your Father's Day? Henok.
Thank you. Happy Father's Day to you and all of the great intellectual children that you spawned from that well-known and renowned program, Buenas Noches, Pepperdine, which can still be found on YouTube today.
Thank you very much, Henok. And no, thanks to you, by the way. It was a phenomenal college show that Henok Rob helped produce. And now here we are in 2018 making it happen in the digital world. Deacon David, how was your Father's Day? Happy Father's Day.
Thank you. Thank you. Father's Day is always a blessing, and I'm glad to celebrate this day, and especially in honor of our Heavenly Father. Amen.
That is true. Rob, welcome.
Thank you, Armando. It's a pleasure to be joining you again. You look as handsome as ever.
Thank you very much. You know,
joining you here from Hillsboro, Oregon. It was a lovely Father's Day.
Yes.
We had some steak. We had some wine. We had some laughs. Golf balls were exchanged. It was everything a Father's Day could be.
Oh my God. I'll tell you what, when any type of balls are exchanged with it, that be golf balls, tennis balls, it is a good day, especially on Father's Day today.
Let's try to keep this highbrow, Armando.
Well, gentlemen, listen, speaking of fathers, let us chat a little bit about our founding fathers and our current leader of this great country, Mr. Trump. What did we think, and I'd like to start with the Deacon here, of that phenomenal summit there in Singapore? Deacon David, go ahead.
Well, you know, my thoughts are pretty much in line with the thoughts of the church. And
yes,
wherever a leader is and whoever the leader is, we pray for that leader and we hope for their clarity and right judgment of situations. Ultimately, we're all accountable to Christ. So my thoughts are, may God help him. And
yes,
help each of us as being good citizens.
Such wise words. Do you anything to add in there?
Yeah. If I may, I off the shoulder of this giant next to me. What I want to say is that anytime a world leader is extending the olive branch or extending a hand of mercy, we need to get out of the kind of camps and tribes that we're in and try to objectively, meaning by independently verifiable standards, appreciate something or give respect where respect is due. What people aren't understanding, I think, about this greater context that I think some intelligent speakers are getting to is that the alternative is either nuclear fallout or some other form of violence. And so when we begin to talk about shutting down people's platforms or not giving people a platform or criticizing maybe the complimenting of a dictator, as other dictators have been, complimented before by past presidents, one of the things we forget to realize is the moment we stop having dialogue, the moment that we stop conversating with one another is the moment we resort to fisticuffs, which is individual fighting, and then group fighting, which is war, which is the worst end of the dispute resolution spectrum.
Mm-hmm. What a great point, Rob. I know you've had a little bit of experience in the arena in terms of just dispute resolution and combat. What were your thoughts on Trump and his meeting there in Singapore?
Well, I have to say they chose an absolutely gorgeous city to meet in. I've been to Singapore myself, one of my favorite hubs in Southeast Asia. But when it comes to diplomacy, I think that it all comes down to the old saying, where goods cross borders, armies do not. And I am no Trump apologist. I think what Henok said about the mindset of being in camps on teams, that's kind of the way that our political system is set up, to put you on a team so that you stick in there, so that people who are on the Republican team are going to love whatever Trump does, and the people who are on the Democrat team are going to hate whatever he does. Regardless of what team you're on, I think that this is a phenomenal move in the right direction towards peace and prosperity. as well, both for, I mean, trade is a mutually beneficial act. So hopefully, as these dialogues continue, trade will be something that follows. The North Korean people will be able to see some of the beauty that can bring. And instead of just intolerance, fear, hatred being bred between nations, and understanding, or respect, and hopefully some beneficial trade can go on between the two nations. So I'm very excited about it. It's only one initial step. We've seen meetings like this between presidents and other controversial world leaders before that didn't necessarily go anywhere positive, but you have to take that first step. So I'm very excited about it.
And excitement is the right word. I think I completely agree. Do you think this is the first of many meetings, or do you think there will be another meeting in the near future? What is your take on just the future of North Korea and the U.S. relationship?
I mean, our president himself said that he expects that there would be more meetings. There, was nothing concrete hammered out from this past meeting. I expect that there will be many more over the course of months and years. Like I said, it's the first step, and hopefully we will continue progressing in that direction, because it, bringing that understanding of other nations prevents that sort of nuclear fallout, like Henok brought up, and leads us to a more prosperous and loving society.
What a great point. And I want to ask this to the Deacon David, because later on in the week we had some great comments from, not great comments, but some strong comments from Robert De Niro, the actor. I don't know if you had a chance to look into those, Deacon, but what were your thoughts on that type of reaction post that meeting there in Singapore, Deacon?
Well, honestly, I can't comment on it because I'm not too aware of it. But I think regardless of who you are, celebrity or just a regular citizen, we're responsible to be good citizens, to be respectful of one another, of other humans, and especially of leaders. So in whatever platform we can do that, we have to show respect. I think that's the best format.
What a great panel. Did you have a chance to look into or hear about the Robert De Niro words that were mentioned there during the award ceremony?
Yes, please don't dance around them. Repeat them here.
Well, I'd rather not, but please refresh. If you could paraphrase them for us, that'd be terrific.
Yeah, I think they're paraphrased in two letters, the letter F and the letter U.
Yeah. Well, to me, I think, it is one thing to be strongly opinionated against our current administration, but to do it in that manner, I feel like it in some ways brings down the credibility of the opposing party. Wouldn't you say, Robert? What was your take on that situation?
I mean, that's pretty much what I would expect from most of the Hollywood elite, and it ends up being a team sport. That is the team that you're fighting for, or those on the left. And honestly, Trump makes himself out to be an easy punching bag. I mean, the guy says some deplorable things. I wouldn't say otherwise, because he really, really disappoints me with some of his behavior sometimes. I would hope that we would have a president, or I would expect that we would have a president who behaves with a certain level of decorum and kind of reflects the exceptionalism that America wants and hopefully still tries to project and embody. But that, for De Niro to say that, I don't think was surprising, though it may have been a little bit aggressive. It was really something that I expected. I think we just have to get out of that mindset of picking sides and instead pick ideas and principles and stand behind them.
I'll be frank with you guys. I was a little shocked by the retaliation from our current president. I did not, it's one thing to hear those words, but then to react to it, it seems, like you said, Rob, a little bit inappropriate in my opinion. Well, I don't know. What was your thought on that? And his response to De Niro's comments?
Look, this is perhaps an unpopular opinion, but on many, many, many issues, President Donald Trump is not substantively different than President Hillary Clinton would have been, than President Obama was, than President Bush was, and President Clinton before him, and so on and so forth. What he represents and the so-called populism that so many people talk about is a cultural difference. He does not play by their cultural games. He is not prim. He is not proper. He's more than rough around the edges. And for me, That's really not the main issue. The main issue that a president is involved with is foreign policy. And what he's doing on foreign policy is horrendous in the Middle East. It's horrendous with the Iran deal, but it is excellent here with North Korea. And I hope he pursues the negotiation that he says he's great at. And another thing I want to say before we, lose our time on this topic is that although some people have given proper due, I think people are still ridiculing Dennis Rodman, and we need to really appreciate Dennis Rodman for this. One of the greatest rebounders of all time. Isaiah Thomas once said of him, he saw him in practice just staring at them while they were doing layups and while they were shooting free throws. And he said, Dennis Rodman, what's wrong with you? What are you doing? Because he thought he was being lazy. But he was then noting off with mathematical genius how many spins of the ball each person was doing on their layups and free throws. In the same way, he tactically looked at the situation. Years ago, he traveled to North Korea with the Vice documentary team, shot great footage with them, and built the foundations of a relationship that allowed him to set up this peace with Donald Trump, who he already knew on a personal level. So forget the cultural differences of Trump and appreciate the functional things he's doing with peace with North Korea, and give a big shout out to Dennis Rodman, greatest rebounder of all time, and potentially someone who's saving the world.
I completely, by the way, very moving discourse there that he gave, and I completely know it touched many people. I think the words of Dennis Rodman after those events. Wouldn't you say?
Yes.
Well, let's bring it really quickly, guys, back here to our great country, though. This whole Me Too movement seems to be sweeping the nation. Rob, what are your thoughts on this movement, and can something be done by our current administration to alleviate some of those tensions?
I certainly don't think that it's our administration's responsibility to alleviate any of those tensions. It comes down to individual responsibility. I mean, the Me Too movement, I have no qualms with it. I think that equality for all is a great thing, and that no one should be subjected to uncomfortable or incredibly inappropriate sexual advances. I know that there are any number of women who have experienced those kinds of things, and it's not the administration's responsibility to do anything about it. It's men's responsibility to do something about it and create an environment where everyone feels equal, everyone feels comfortable sharing their opinions, everyone feels like they can advance in this world. You want to create an environment where your daughter would want to grow up and be able to thrive, right? That's what I think about. I mean, I don't have a daughter. I think about my younger sister. What is the kind of environment that I would want her to be around? And I will treat others as such. I think that's on every man to do that.
Yeah. And I got to ask you, have you been more aware about certain situations that could be considered potentially Me Too-esque? I know I personally have when I'm at work. It was a young lady's birthday recently. I even thought about not giving her a hug because of the whole, which I did, but I just, it's on my mind is what I'm trying to say. Rob?
I'm sure for some men in the workplace that makes them think twice. For me, it hasn't really. I suppose that's because that's not where I've tried to develop a relationship in the past, was in the workplace. So it hasn't been an issue for me. But if you were trying to do that, then it would definitely potentially cause me to think twice. But that's okay, because if this situation was flipped, and I would want to be comfortable. You don't want someone coming on to you in that kind of situation where you're trying to be professional. So if you have to think twice, that's okay. It's something that will become habit.
Really quickly, Hanok, I know or Deacon David, if it was your birthday, would you appreciate a hug even in these Me Too times? Hanok.
To quote the singer Trey Songz, you might reach for the handshake and get a hug.
This has been a great.
Definitely.
Rob, it looks like Armando ran out of time. So if you want to expound on anything, I leave the floor to you, my friend.
No, not at all. I think we nailed it. I think with the Me Too movement, it's about treating everyone with love and respect. I hope that we continue a dialogue with North Korea, and that we open up talks with any other nations that we currently don't have a dialogue with. and we continue to be the shining, beacon, a city on a hill for the rest of the world. That being said, it was an incredible pleasure talking with you, gentlemen. I had a great Father's Day. I hope that you all did as well. Thank you all so much for joining us on this GetVOKL platform. And if you'd like to stick around, we'll be hanging around to discuss this topic at further length. So cheers, God bless, Godspeed. Take care.
And man, I'll use our last